Yo, what's good, y'all? It's Classic. I'm about to give y'all a breakdown of this design that I did not too long ago. Thank y'all for the love and support that y'all showed in that last video. We're gonna keep on going up. We're gonna keep on keeping it classy. Let's get it. Alright, y'all. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this project. So I opened up 2 tabs. I got one without the effects, and it's just all the pieces of everything, and then one with all the effects laid down on here. Excuse my energy, by the way. I'm super tired. I went and got that work in this morning. Your boy drained, alright. But we still gonna get it in, right? So this is awful lot of cough syrup, West Coast brand, super legendary, been in the game for a long time. I made this design just out of respect for the brand. Basically, what I did was I found these pictures of Desto Dub and just different stuff on his brand, and figured I'd just crop everything out and lay it out. This is before. Right? This is everything cropped out, and then this is after. As you see, this one has a whole lot more impact, a whole lot more like eye-catching things going on. And that's how you want this thing to be. You want your graphics to look like, man, like what is this? You know, like I wanted this to look like they was in a white room, you know, like a white backdrop, and they had all these different, you know, basically like this is how he had the whole room set up. Obviously it's not, you know, there's no such thing as having a big old hand holding a big cup of lean, and you know, like come on, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's humorous, it's exciting, it's like caricature style artwork, right? What I want to do today is show you guys how I did this, how I put this together, right? So one thing I want to start with first, I guess we could start with is the cup of lean. So what I started off with was some of the shadows, of course, you know, to make it like more believable. You want to have some shadows of like what is already on the object. So I had added shadows of the jacket that was there. The way I do my shadows, and I'll just go ahead and erase this so that you all can see. I just go. So basically, I get an exposure layer. Exposure, you'll find that in the adjustments tab. Go down and yeah, it's right here. It's right in front of it. But you'll take that, and basically what you want to do is bring the brightness of the object all the way down. And you want to clip it onto the mask, otherwise it'll just be a big old black screen. So I'm gonna clip that onto the mask, right? Do a mask. I'm gonna mask this object and Control I, right? And that's gonna be your shadow layer. And so basically what I did was I made sure my flow is down. You want to make sure your flow is down, because when you do that, you'll have like more lighter marks like this, which can create a more realistic shadow. If you don't, it'll be a dark harsh line like this, and you'll need like a pressure, like a pen or something like that, to basically like draw it in. And I mean, if you're like me, I don't always want to go get my tablet to draw things in, so I like to just use a low flow, and you can go in and basically draw in the shadows. So what you'll see is I went in here and I basically just, you know, drew in the shadows. You know, you just add in the shadows, you know, go back and erase as you need to. You use X to switch back and forth from the white and black. Obviously, like white is the draw, you know, to add color or add, you know, the effect. And the X will be to get rid of it. Alright, and then boom, you know, you got your little shadow going on and stuff like that. Alright, and then next, I added the glow around the cup. You know, one thing you definitely want to make sure you're doing is adding highlights. Because without highlights, nothing's really gonna pop out. So, you know, if you see like down in here, you know, you already have like kind of like highlights laid out for you somewhat. You got highlights in the lean, you know, you got little white areas in the cup. You just want to go in here and enhance that, right? So I'll do the same thing I did with the last one. There's nothing wrong with another exposure layer. Boom, you got another exposure layer, right? Make sure you clip that and then Control I or Command I if you want to Mac, and then go in here and enhance the bright areas on here, okay? So you're just gonna enhance. This is a little rough. It's not, you know, like if I was doing this from start, I would be like spending a whole lot more time on it. But for the sake of trying to get this video out today, I'm gonna just show y'all how I'm doing this right here. Okay. And so, just adding highlights in those little areas. Just to make it stand out. So, it's almost like a little glow, like a glow effect. You see white, paint white. You see dark, paint dark. Simple as that. Next thing, you want to add in some color. I did this because it's a creative choice. I added some glow, some colored glow to basically just make it like, look like, in a cartoon, when you open up a treasure chest or you see something that's like really attractive, it's always glowing and stuff like that. So I basically just found a color, another saturation layer, right? Boom, I got a saturation layer, and I put this on normal, kept it at normal for the layer. And basically all I did was go in here and find the color that I wanted, which is purple, to match the purple lean and stuff. Brought my saturation all the way up. And I just painted that boy in for real. So I'll delete that and show y'all how I did it. If you don't clip it to the layer mask, again, it's gonna spread all over the place and not look right. So you wanna make sure you clip it into the layer mask. And then I just went in here and just painted in the color. That's basically all I did. I just painted in the color. Give it that nice, vibrant look. And yeah, and so now we got some color going on. And then I added his shadow. Again, you just want to make sure that you're making this look realistic. So when you go in here and you look, it looks like, his body is casting shadow onto the cup. It's nothing too extreme. You just want to make sure that you're adding those details, because when you look at it at the end, everything is going to make sense. It's going to be like, dang, like, are these props? Is this 3D or is this Photoshop? Okay, well, you want to make it not look so Photoshoppy, so you want to add in little elements to make it look realistic, right? All right, and then I added the shadow of the shirt that was there, okay? And we just put all these little elements together, and it all adds up and makes sense, right? Definitely want to add color. Now, I put this layer on linear dot, okay? This is what it would look like if it was just normal, okay? And so, again, we added lighting. So I added this little glare effect on him. There would be some light shining on him right there. This is all creative expression. It doesn't have to look like this. This is just how I choose to do it. But if you want to do it a different way, by all means, look it up. Right? Then I added the shadows. Again, you want to make it all match. The shadows don't look much off right here. And it also just makes it look a little bit more 3D. So when you take a picture of somebody, it looks like a picture, but like just like a regular old picture. But if you go in and you edit it and add like the contour, think about like when girls do makeup, y'all adding this makeup and highlights and all that kind of stuff. It makes your face like, it kind of changes the way your face looks. That's basically what you're doing right here. You just adding makeup onto the picture that's already there, just to enhance it and really give it that look, right? So like I added some more shadows here, boom, and I'll go ahead and show y'all how I did this one. Now, where would the shadows be at? Shadows are generally gonna be like closer to where the contact of the object is, right? That's just how it works. The closer contact it is to another object, that's where you're gonna apply them shadows. So, that's just a rule of thumb. I'm gonna go ahead and paint that in because there's no light there. It's not gonna be much light, so I'm gonna go ahead and paint those in. Light's not shining in this space, so you just add the shadows in that area. You don't want to make it too much, but just enough for it to make sense, right? I'm gonna go ahead and paint a little bit of shadows in the areas that are there. Painting a little bit of shadows that's there. Might require you to zoom in a little bit if you can't see that well. And just add in some more shadows, man. This little stuff. A little bit goes a long way. Just look at it like painting. Look at it like doing makeup, adding makeup to your designs and stuff like that. But as you see, when you zoom out, you probably see some stuff that you can get rid of. Where it was just a little too much. But all in all, it's about just those little small adjustments that make a big difference. So you got before, you got after, before. Just by doing that just sold the whole lot more than not having it there. Like, you just want to have some shadows, and if you gotta go in and adjust the opacity a little bit, do that, because sometimes it can be a little bit too harsh. After I was done with him, I added a little bit more adjustments. Basically just like another linear dye layer, just to give it a little bit more of a vibrant look. And I can go in and show y'all how I did that exactly. So we'll just create a layer mask, invert that thing, and pretty much just where I would anticipate the light being, I just went in and added some highlights to this shirt, different areas and stuff, just to make it pop. This is him up at the top. So I wanted him to pop out, the one that you're gonna see the most. You'll see this one, but you'll really see him though, because he's sitting up on top of this cup of lean. That's just sick in my eyes. My thought process on putting this thing together was real. Like, I just want the brand to see this and be like, hey, like we represent lean, like not represent lean, but it's like, obviously, I mean the brand's called Awful Lot of Cough Sorrow, so you kind of like want to show like, okay, yeah, this is like it's a street brand, so it's not a whole lot of taking yourself like too serious, like it's a brand, they selling and making money and stuff, but like have a little bit of fun with this. So like I thought this was pretty eye-catching, along with his logo up here. This was not mine, I did not make this, but yeah, so you put all those things together, man, and you kind of come up with a project that looks similar to this. And so, it's all about the highlights again. That's how you want it to be. You wanted it all highlights and contrast, just to give it that real look like these objects are there. Yo, I appreciate y'all once again for tapping in with me. That last video, y'all showed a lot of love, and I thank y'all. Y'all let me know in the comments what kind of videos y'all want to see me do next. And just some tips, anything that I might have missed or you might have been wondering about, just comment below. Just like and subscribe, and let's keep this thing going. Peace.